Hey, what up, everybody? This your boy B-Rob, and I wanted to jump in real quick before the episode started off proper like or random like, and let everybody know that the Ask Miss B-Rob edition of the Random Rambles with Rob has been postponed until April 8th. That's going to be on a Friday evening. It may or may not be streamed live, but more details will come as the week goes on. Had some stuff happen at work that was kind of out of my scope of control, so I have to move things around and adapt. So once again, you can still get your questions in for Ask Mrs. B-Rob. You can do that on all the social media platforms that are associated with myself, and you can send me DMs. If you put anything out there publicly for everybody else to see, use the hashtag AskMissBRob. And if you want to send a whole list of questions via email, you can do so at randomrobcast@outlook.com. You can also send a voicemail to 304-825-5762. So those are many different ways that you can get those questions to me. Hell, if you got my phone number or even the voicemail number that I just gave you, you can shoot a text with your question in it as well. So once again, sorry for the delay, but April 8th, Friday, April 8th, we will be doing the Ask Miss B-Rob, the 6th annual edition. But all that's out of the way. Just look forward for more details and updates. And enjoy this episode.
He does.
I mean, that's hair problems to have. I mean, there's the only texture I get on this thing is like some raindrops or something, or maybe some soap when I clean my head.
You get that nice, lovely shine that, like, you know, it's not bad. Like like I know it's weird coming from me with a lot of hair, but like some people look better bald, you know. So
yeah,
there's definitely an aesthetic with it.
I've come to terms with it, however, because I've been bald a long time. Because I think the hair loss started at 23.
Oh, no.
So
I'm sorry.
Wow.
So it was just like I was trying to save it so the hairline was straight. It was nice. It was crisp, and then it just started creeping up on one side. It started creeping back on the other side, and I started looking like this and shit. And I was like, man, it's got to go.
Asymmetry is not that bad of a look. I think like now, I think fashion companies and models, like, they're pushing the boundaries of like, let's see how weird we can get. So I have seen like asymmetric hairlines that like, whoa, it's like it looks almost like futuristic, like something you'd see straight out of Blade Runner, you know?
Yeah, or how the boogeyman got the point in the middle and then go back and then go around and all. Yeah.
The boogeyman has been coming up so much in RBR stuff recently.
Well, I think mostly that's because Cody's favorite. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's mostly because Cody and Paul keep trying to compare him to Danhausen. But like,
I don't know.
Because they don't like Danhausen, but Danhausen's cool. I like Danhausen.
Yeah. Very, very evil. Very nice. Very evil.
Nice. Very, very nice. Very rich now too.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. So I mean, what is his leg still jacked up? How does that?
I think he's still recovering. Yeah,
he's recovering.
Okay.
Like the way I've noticed it is until they take their first move in, like, you know, in the company, then they're still not 100% cleared. Like,
yeah, I get you. I can understand that.
Yeah, that's why, like, when Bryan Danielson took like that choke slam backstage, they cut off, like they put the camera angle because they wasn't cleared yet. You know, so
just like
shenanigans. Exactly. Until unless it's like an actual bump or a move that they're taking, like it's just shenanigans, then they're not medically cleared. So that's how I've noticed it.
Mm-hmm. Word. So I have a cool intro that I do. It's a little long-winded, but I have to get it out there and everything. We are already recording, so all the audio levels and everything's are straight. You know, we'll even add that little 2 minutes in or whatever, because that's some good banter. I mean, there's no rules, there's no limits here. We do whatever the fuck we want, you know? So, all right, are we ready? I guess I done said enough, so.
You are now listening to Random Ramblings with Rob. Yay!
Random, it's random. Random Ramblings with Rob, this is the anthem. Random, is random. Random Ramblings with Rob, this is the anthem. Random is random. Random Ramblings with Rob, this is the anthem. Random is random. Random Ramblings with Rob. Are we hearing anything in this bitch? This is the anthem. God bless the child while he listens to some random spitting bars and stanzas, ripping mics, etc. Go against the all, you gotta know he Tony Danza. That's B-Rob, he the boss, MC God. Give you what you want every week with some deep dive. Revise everything you know about this podcast. We're trying to take over the world with this podcast. We hit your ears every week with the monsoon. We broadcasting the SoundClouds and iTunes. The Twitch scream say random, what you gonna do? The Twitch scream say random, what you gonna do? Subscribe, like, share. Listen to the Random Ramblings with Rob podcast. If you're listening right now, you're welcome.
What up, everybody? This your boy B-Rob, and I'm back with another edition of the Random Ramblings with Rob podcast. What up, everybody? This your boy B-Rob, and I'm back with another edition of the Random Ramblings with Rob podcast. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you, the listener, for coming back each and every week, or however you listen to podcast. If you're a first-time listener, I'd like to thank you oh so much for giving my show a try. And if anybody recommended you to me, I would like for you to give that person a crisp high five. Noah, can we do that? Can we make it happen?
Right this way.
Yeah, right there. Boom.
Yeah, there we go.
Get Bandit down on the bottom. You get double.
That way. Yeah.
You get a high 10. But anyway, I know people still being cautious and everything, that there's a mystery disease floating around and getting people sick, giving flu-like symptoms and things or whatever. So you might not want to slap hands with somebody. But what you can do is use your social media app of choice to send that person a well-crafted DM to tell them thank you for recommending you to me. Speaking of social media, you can find the Random Ramblings with Rob on various social media platforms, to include Twitter at 3R Show, Instagram at The 3R Show. And if you just so happen to be viewing this, you might have stumbled upon the YouTube. Look on YouTube, search 3R Show, and you will find us in all our visual glory. There's a couple other places that you can find me, but they escape me right now. So you can go to randomrob.com. That's randomrob.com, to where you can find many different ways to help support the show. And you might see the sponsor. Hooks, Rubs, and Spices. This is where I switch hats normally. Put my sponsor hat on. Hooks, Rubs, and Spices. If you go to hooksrub.com, you can get all manner of seasonings for your barbecue, your vegetables, or whatever have you. I mean, whatever you ingest, you can put Hooks, Rubs, and Spices on it. It'll make it that much more delicious. So go to hooksrub.com and use promo code RANDOM, and you can get 15% off your order. Now I put the hat back on. Almost feel like I should have like the Undertaker gong whenever I throw the hat on. You'd be like,
yeah, it just comes with it. It comes with it. Has speakers in the hat, like that Atari speaker hat.
Oh shit!
As long as you can roll your eyes back.
Yeah,
there we go.
I still got some sawdust residue from my project out there. They're kind of burned.
Oh gosh.
Yes. But joining me, you heard all these lovely and seductive voices. I don't know what I just said. I stumbled over my words. But to my virtual left, real life right, I guess, is my co-host on RBR Weekly Wrestling Talk, Pro Wrestling Noah, or just Noah Stewart. Either way, he's here. How are you, sir?
Doing good. I'm glad to be here. I'm excited to talk to I am just the jobber of this podcast, but the main event of this podcast is our other guest.
Well,
oh, thank you. That's very sweet.
Speaking of our other guests, and Noah, since you are a guest for our guest, I guess, I don't know, why don't you do the introduction? Why don't you introduce our guest that's joining us this evening?
Okay, sure. Yeah. Our main guest for this episode is the protagonist of Pro Wrestling, your number one waifu, Kidd Bandit.
Hello.
Yeah, Kidd Bandit. Now,
yeah,
I don't have my sound effects set up. Hold on. Where is?
There we
go.
There we go.
Now I feel like a big deal. Now I feel like a main event.
Word. Well, you're number one in our hearts.
Oh, thank you. That's very sweet.
But yeah, I mean, we was just rocking and rolling before I did the intro proper like and everything. But how are you? How are you this evening? Well, afternoon for you.
I'm about to go to a very, very last minute impromptu seminar with Booker T. So apparently he's in town. And
wow.
so like I found this out like maybe 2 hours ago. They said, "Oh, Booker T's in town. He's gonna do a seminar." I'm like, "Word!" I don't even know if I'm allowed to talk to you guys about this yet because they're all very hush hush about it. But I think by the time like this interview airs, I would have done the seminar already. So haha.
Oh, yeah, you're good to go.
Do what you must, for I have already won. Is my mentality.
Okay. So I mean, so do you think in this seminar with Booker T or whatever, there'll be some portion of it? I know he's going to tell you about road stories and all kind of stuff and hardships that he may have gone through and everything. I mean, that's a given in a lot of these seminars and whatnot. But do you think that we'll have a portion to where he will incorporate the Spinneroonie?
Yes. I've been doing the spinner. Fun fact, I did this like the last show I actually did the Spinneroonie. I've been doing the Spinneroonie for a while. Just because I like it. I do it as a kip up. So instead of doing a kip up, I spin a Rooney to my feet. But I swear I did the spin a Rooney on Saturday. And the irony is not lost on me that on Monday I am invited to a Booker T seminar that's very hush hush from what I can tell. Like it's like yes. Only for a select few, but that's my problem. I'm a lot like Tom Holland. I just blurt things out.
Yeah, I seen a little bit of your, well, not a little bit of all of it. I saw your Fightful interview earlier today and everything, and then you had a little bit of those blurts and little spasms there out the mouth a little bit.
Yeah, like I'm not. Hey, I am not the leak. You know, there was a story going around saying, "Oh, there's a leak on all the wrestling journalism. It's probably Kidd Bandit." I'm like, first of all, I'm trying to get signed, so it's not me. and second of all, I'm also the last person to find out everything. Like I'm booked in a couple of shows this weekend, and I found out that I'm in one of those shows. I was gonna go anyway as a fan, and then it hit me. I was like, "Oh, I'm in the card. Oh, snap!" Like so it couldn't be me because I don't even know what's going on in my life. So you know, but yes, I do have. I didn't spoil anything. I just kind of provided a separate perspective on how it was in a weird fan / wrestler kind of like way, because I'm still kind of in the middle of the barricade, as it were, you know. Not completely on the other side of the curtain yet, even though people assume that I am. I'm still a big mark, and I still like seeing myself as such because it makes wrestling way more enjoyable, I think.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh no.
Noah's frozen. I think he said that power just went out.
Oh no. Yeah.
Well,
no,
well, there he is. He just vanished. He's gone into the ether.
We got to summon him back again. But
it'll be like that. I mean, he got to go out there and crank up his generator or whatever you got to do to get his power back. Maybe you can go out there and daggone.
Yeah, I'm gonna lend my energy, and hopefully, like, you know, if we gather enough Dragon Balls, we'll be able to wish him back into the ether, as it were.
Word, but a little tidbit that I snagged away from that Fightful interview that I listened to earlier, or whatever. Less than a year in the game, you've been doing this.
Yeah. I think that interview was actually about 6 months into my career. I am about, I think this Sunday will be my 9th month wrestling. So yes, still a little bit under a year. But lots of eyes, definitely lots of eyes on me. So lots of pressure, not a lot of room for error, in an intimate, unknown setting, as it were.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people 9 months in do make a lot of mistakes that I'm making right now, but they get the luxury of like making those mistakes in the comfort of, like, you know, the eyes of friends mostly.
Yeah.
But all eyes on me right now. I trended on Twitter, which I still don't understand why. Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's great. Like I don't the fortune of that is not lost on me, but
Mm.
I imposter syndrome is real. I don't get why I was trending. I did not get why I was trending in Australia either. I've never I've never been to Australia. But for a couple of days, I was like the number one hot topic in wrestling, Australia wrestling Twitter. I was like, this is weird. I
Yeah.
love it, but this is very, very out of left field.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my first dose of you or whatever was your appearance on AEW and whatnot. And the first thing that I seen was the lovely mane of hair. And I was just like, who is that? And that, you know, it sparked my curiosity from there or whatever. So, I mean, hell, hey, no.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. There's some violent weather happening here in the Houston area that I think knocked out a power line or something, but I'm back.
Well, that's in your area of planet Houston or whatever. I mean, I'm sunny days out here. I'm chasing the clouds away.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because like me and Noah live in the same city and he's probably about an hour away from me and we live in the same place. I don't understand this.
Yeah, Houston is dumb because it's a bunch of like small towns or like even like city-sized cities all mashed into one big giant city. So 40 minutes, it's like a 40-minute drive to you, B-Rob.
I don't have a lot of experience with Houston, except for the fact when I was younger, NBA 2K9, my association team was the Rockets. So
nice.
Hey, I love them. You know, this was a Yao Ming, you know, Asian representation.
Right?
You know?
Yeah.
Him and Tracy McGrady. Yeah, they were my top two. Then I went to the Spurs. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I'm not from Texas, so I don't care.
Okay, cool.
But before Noah ninja vanished or whatever, left his clone jitsu or whatever, and just jumped out of here. We were talking about Kidd Bandit here is less than a year into professional wrestling and whatnot. And one of the questions that I wanted to follow up with that is just like, what led you there? What made you be like, wrestling? Let's do this shit.
I only had one game growing up from my PS2 because I grew up in poverty in a third world country. It wasn't so. I feel like when I say that, everybody assumes, "Oh, you lived in a hut." No, I had a nice home, but I wasn't. I wasn't living in luxury, as it were. I got a PS2 maybe like 4 months before the PS3 came out, so I was late in the game, and I could only afford one game. And the only one I could afford at the time was SmackDown vs. Raw. Oh no!
God damn it, Noah!
Okay, but we'll wish him back again.
There he is.
There he is.
Or is he?
Here we go. This better not be like a dark web thing where they appear and it's like, you know, an anonymous mask.
I know we gotta wait 7 days.
Oh, okay. Well, the fact is they're trying to come back. Oh, there it is. Oh,
God damn it! Hold on, here he is. There's a power surge now. What the hell, Noah?
All right. Well, while that's going on, I'm gonna go ensure. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna go ensure that doesn't happen to me either. Hold on. So yeah, like I only had one game, and I went to school with a bunch of like I got lucky that I was intelligent enough, and I say that with quotation marks because I made a lot of stupid decisions. So I'm not.
Well, we all do.
Yeah. But I was intelligent enough to get accepted to a private school where most of my peers were like the sons of mayors, you know, actors in the Philippines and all that stuff. So I was really out of place. But and in order to try to fit in, like, you know, wrestling was a hot topic when I was growing up. And I wanted to relate to them, but I couldn't really because I didn't have cable, and that's the only way to watch it. So I would pretend to know what wrestling was, you know, and you know, to fit in, I would play wrestling with like a friend that lived like a mile away. Like I would go to their house, and eventually, when I finally got my own gaming console, I got SmackDown vs. Raw 07.
Okay.
And that was my only game for a year. But I played it like, thankfully the replayability in that specific game was amazing because of GM mode, right? So, but that was really what hooked me into wrestling. Is like, even though I'm not caught up in the stories, like I'm familiar with who's who and what's what.
Mhm.
And it wasn't until one night stand where I was able to convince my mom that, hey mom, hey dad, if I got good grade, and my dad didn't live in the Philippines, he lived in America, so I begged my dad to, like, hey, can you get us cable so I could keep up with, like, wrestling? And sure enough, we got cable, and when I finally started watching religiously, it was through to the build up for One Night Stand, with RVD and Cena.
Yeah.
So that was like my real first exposure of like watching wrestling like weekly, is like during that whole period. Like I saw WrestleMania 23. That would probably be my first WrestleMania that I saw. That's not like me going back and rewatching, because I saw 20 on the network. I saw all these other like WrestleManias like that happened before 23. But 23 would be like the first time I was kept up to speed with like, wrestling, like, wrestling pay-per-views and stuff. And I watched it religiously. And I did have a time period where I fell out. It was during the PG era, with like right before the Nexus happened. And I just couldn't relate, And I like to blame that on the fact that Jeff Hardy left the Fed, like when Jeff left the Fed, I was like, I don't want to watch this anymore. There goes my hero, And yeah, after that, I kind of just stopped watching until CM Punk, ironically, who was responsible for Jeff leaving, did the pipe bomb. And then I'm hooked back in, and I'm like, yep, let's watch wrestling again. And then it's been very consistent since then,
Word. Okay. I mean, that's an interesting path or whatever. I mean, I've told it historically or whatever. It wasn't professional wrestling so much that got me into professional wrestling. It was a wrestler that was an actor that I seen him in movies. And then I was like, wait. And then I went to the video store, and then I seen him on a WrestleMania cover. And I was like, what is this WrestleMania? And boom, there it was. Been watching it ever since.
Yeah, like I think the best wrestlers are the ones with like a good mainstream crossover appeal. As far as like success, because like obviously what's good is subjective. In my heart of hearts, I do believe that Ricochet is like one of the best wrestlers right now in the world.
Oh, yes.
But I can't see Ricochet starring in like a AAA like blockbuster film like The Rock. I could see him do like a cool flip or two, but I don't expect
him to be a stunt guy.
Yeah, I don't expect him to take the role of The Rock. That being said, that's not a knock on Ricochet, because I've seen Ricochet make jokes. I've seen their personality. They're really entertaining, but they don't have The Rock's level of like, I want to hear what Rock has to say, as it were. Like they just command the presence. So, and I assume you're talking about The Rock, or you're talking about someone else, like.
Oh, I was just you. That's good enough for me.
You're talking about like you saw an actor that.
Oh no, for me, because I'm a tad bit older than you. It was Hulk Hogan.
Oh, it was Hogan. Yeah, okay. I figured it was either Rock or Hogan or someone else, but yeah, that's what I assumed. Yes.
And that's kind of why I wanted Noah here as well, because he knows of you from a DPW and everything. But also Noah is a newer professional wrestling fan as well. So it's just like your career and his time watching wrestling is almost parallel in a sense or whatever. So it was just that kind of thing or whatnot. Yeah,
like one of the things I've always like wondered is like, how do like fans, like older wrestling fans, so like this is perfect because like you're one like part of the older generation, as it were. So like I am very curious, like with the way that wrestling is evolving from it's gone from like high character work, very larger than life actual like both like personality and physicality, like performers, to like I want to say like smaller, like less larger than life, more relatable, like people like me. Like how do you perceive like someone like Kidd Bandit, who whose like entire shtick is basically like, yeah, they do cool, innovative stuff that's, but they're also like 5'5". They're like 130 pounds. Like, how does that like? What's your take on that direction of wrestling, as it were?
Well, for me, growing up, 80s, 90s, and everything, watching professional wrestling, I came consistently to my religious point with professional wrestling during the Monday Night Wars. So whenever that was going on, that was like when I was there, I recorded it. And when I say I recorded it, it was this machine called a VCR.
VCR, yes,
and it took VHS tapes. I don't know if you know what those are.
Yes. But, yeah, no, the fortunate, like, I guess like it's not fortunate, but I did grow up poor, so technology was very, I'm very familiar with a lot of the old tech because we couldn't afford anything new. So I am familiar with the VCR and VHS and all that stuff.
Yeah, so it's just like I would because Nitro came on an hour before Raw. So I would watch the first hour of Nitro because that's when they had Benoit and the other luchadors and Mysterio and all those stuff right in that first hour, real high impact shit. And then when that hour was over, I would switch over to Raw and I would watch Raw. And then after Raw was over, I would go back, rewind what I recorded the last 2 hours of WCW, and I would watch the rest of that. But as far as the evolution of professional wrestling, to me, from my standpoint, I mean, I really enjoy it. I think it's intriguing because, like, over the years, I know we're not going to get the Attitude Era back. I know we're not going to get, all that old classic stuff back. And for, reasons, we probably shouldn't be doing shit like that, because of concussions and, some of the content, people spoke back then.
Rhetoric is definitely, some of them has aged poorly.
Yeah. But for me right now, what I look for when I watch professional wrestling is professional wrestling. So I can forgive a lot of the, people will say this storyline is stupid, this makes no sense or whatever. I could give a good hot fuck about all that because I just want to watch the wrestling. I want to see the in-ring, combat. That's what I want to see. And, people be talking about, oh, the crowd was chanting this, oh, the crowd was chanting that and doing all that stuff. I say, you're not watching what's going on in the ring if you're paying attention to all that stuff because I zone in on that because, like, people had problems when they went to doing the Thunderdome stuff during the pandemic or whatever. They're like, oh, man, there's no crowd there. It's too quiet, yada, yada, yada. I enjoyed that shit because there was no distractions. It was just two people in the pure art form of professional wrestling just going at it, and I enjoyed it.
It stripped down a lot of the elements in wrestling that take away from the actual wrestling, which I've always been a firm believer that everything that's around the technical wrestling, the actual moves and all the story that's being told in the ring, everything around that should supplement the product, not, it's like, it shouldn't take away from it, so like when the crowd chants yes when Danielson does the yes kicks, like that adds to their move, or when the glass breaks when Stone Cold comes in, that adds to like Stone Cold. It doesn't take away from, so like one of the things I don't like is when the crowd plays beach ball, or
all that stuff. That's why like I was saying, when the Thunderdome was there, nobody was there. There was no shenanigans. I was just like, yes, this is cool. Give me the wrestling. But also at that same time, it was just kind of weird for people to do their craft and still pretend and react like fans were still there when they should have just been focusing on the in-ring competition, So I thought that was kind of weird at first, but they kind of worked around it. Some of them did, at least. And
I think the wrestlers with like a good amount of like working the indies, they definitely profited from like a setting like that because they understand like, oh, like what it's like to like wrestle in front of like 10 people or like
sometimes nobody's there. Sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 20. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, so like the ones that had like a lot of in-ring work when there's no crowd, I think they did a better job than like the performance center babies who, you know, like they knew only the WWE system, which isn't bad. Like, please, like, don't think don't think this is a knock on like the wonderful athletes who came up from that program. It's just I do think that's a certain advantage of like someone like that works the indies, because I've had weekends where on Friday I'd have like 100 people, on Saturday I'd have like 800 people, and on Sunday I have like 5 people. So it's like, you know, and there'd all be like different audiences. Like one, like case in point, I did a 4-day weekend where I wrestled in Fargo for Time Bomb, big crowd. I would say 200 to 300 people. Then I did a anime convention which had had thousands of people watching us. Not necessarily just for us, but they had lots of people watching because it's just in the middle of the event.
Yeah.
And then by Sunday, I wrestled Prestige, and it was a wrestling audience. Like, they were there to watch wrestling. So it wasn't like, you know, it wasn't as cramped as the anime event because, you know, a lot less people, but they appreciated the wrestling a lot more because they came for the wrestling.
Okay.
So I do understand the whole, like, you know, so that because I'm an indie wrestler, you know.
Yeah. So I did see some footage from the anime convention where y'all was just out there wrestling on the floor or whatever. I mean, what was the prep work to go into that? Because, I mean, that was concrete. There was no padding or whatever. Y'all was just pretty much like in a Fight Club circle, just going at it.
Yeah, well, there was a ring, but we decided, like, okay, why don't we take advantage of the opportunity to wrestle in front of, like, you know,
everyone.
Like, so we're thinking, our whole thought process is, like, we're going to do it, like, exactly like you said, Fight Club. But everyone that's surrounding us was in cosplay, so it was like, and it's perfect because I'm out here doing like Tekken moves and stuff. You know, like I was out there like wrestling like a ninja, and I was like, I told MV, I was like, hey man, I'm just gonna, all you gotta do is stand there and wait for a kick, and I'll do everything else, and you know, it translated pretty well. Like, I did notice that, like, when we were watching the footage, was like, it wowed people, but they didn't understand what we were doing because they're not wrestling fans. They're there for anime, and, like, you know, so watching this, they're like, what is going on? You know, they know it's a stunt work. They know it's but they don't understand it's wrestling, because, like, wrestling, like, isn't as we live in the wrestling bubble where we know what wrestling is, but if you remove yourself from, like, that wrestling fan mindset, a lot of, like, normies, you know, as I call them, or normal people, they hear, oh, like, you know, like WWE, they have no idea what AEW is. They have no idea what Impact is, you know. So, like, they think WWE, they think John Cena has not been in the company for like a while, you know. So that was the audience that we were, like, you know, appealing to at that day.
And it's weird because it's just like that you could say that for just about any medium or whatever, you know. You'll say there's people that don't understand what professional wrestling is, or they don't watch. There's people still today, as we live and breathe and we're talking right now, they don't know what the fuck a podcast is. And I was like, this is blowing my mind right now.
Well, like, I often get compared to Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Oh, don't do that. Don't tell whoever you hit him with a freaking or you can in the face. Somebody say.
So the wildest part about this was when I first got compared to Tekashi 6ix9ine, I had no idea who this was. I was like, I thought they were, like, comparing me to an anime that I have never heard of, because, like, Tekashi sounds like an anime, so, like,
exactly.
Like, was this like a hentai? Because, like, they keep saying 6ix9ine and all that stuff, and then it turns out they're a rapper with a very dubious, like, you know, thing, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, I don't want to be compared to that. Like,
I don't want you to be either.
Yeah, it was great. Like, and the only reason why is because we had colored hair. Like, like, colored hair has existed way before Tekashi 6ix9ine. I'll just say that, you know, like,
yes,
we don't even have the same hairstyle, like, you know, but whatever. Like, I can't control how people perceive me. I just can control, like, how I tell people, please don't do that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, was that some influence of naming your one of your moves sliced bread 6ix9ine?
No, I called it the Sliced Bread 69 because I enjoy the number 69, and
who doesn't?
there's no PG explanation for why I enjoy the number 69. So I'll leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with Tekashi 69. He appropriated that number like it's like, oh wow, thanks, bruh. Great freaking job appropriating like one of like the coolest jokes that's been, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Well, Noah texted me or whatever, and he said that he probably won't be able to join us because
No.
the weather said no. So sorry, Noah.
Well, yeah. Well, here's what we'll do. We will honor. We'll take 5 seconds of silence to honor.
Okay.
Okay.
I took
I'm
my hat
sorry,
off too.
Here we go.
You did it at you giggled at like 4.999. So you okay? You're okay.
Oh yeah, I was in a show very very recently, and they wanted to do a 10 bell salute, not because someone died, but it was like something stupid, and it was like an in promotion joke, and it was like the third bell ring, and people just started laughing, and it was just like, okay, like there goes the somberness that they were trying to go for.
Mm-mm. So like, we talk about all these other things like anime and professional wrestling conventions and all these other things. I mean, that's a part of your person.
Yeah.
So it's just like, how do you take all the things that you like personally and everything and try to infuse that into your character, into your in-ring work?
I've had decades. Not decade. I've had a decade. I talk as if I'm old. I've had the decades worth of playing the video games where I would create my own character in 2K and vs. Raw, and I would just in my head like form these things. So I literally, me as a wrestler is just me living the creator wrestler dream I've always had.
I never thought about it like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that surprises people is like, how are you so creative and good this early on in your career? I'm like, I've been playing the games nonstop.
This is true.
I used to be part of eFeds, yo. Like, and like it's dumb, but it's also like that's just the nature of it. Like, and this is a poor example, but like, let me just put it in perspective because I know it helps. There was a time where World War III, actually, like we can probably use that as a very recent example. It was like TikTok is like our telescope lens to like what's going on with Ukraine and Russia because they meme the war. Like it's incredibly baffling that like we have this perspective of like what's going on out there, and the news portrays it as this extremely grim thing, and it is absolutely 100% very scary out there. But you go on TikTok and you type in Ukraine, and you get like TikToks of like how to steal a Russian tank, and then you get like a bunch of Ukrainian teenagers being like that, and then they go in and like just do wild stuff, and it's like like social media has definitely shaped up like how the world is, and technology and video games and movies and comic books to the point where their influence is rampant, and not just and everything else. Like there was a time where like we looked at comic book movies as stupid, not like it's
not
dumb,
me.
yeah, but like it was like, oh, you watch Star Wars, you're a nerd. Like, okay, cool. Like now it's like, wow, like the most profitable like movie franchise of all time. Like who's laughing now, But
exactly.
And so it mirrors in wrestling. Like now you get wrestlers who are avid gamers. Like you're not getting like you are absolutely getting the bodybuilder type like wrestlers who transition from that world. But there's a good chunk of those like bodybuilder types that are also gamers or even geeks. You get these references left and right, and it's cool to like see that like evolution of like back in the day the wrestlers you get like we pointed out Hulk Hogan was a bodybuilder. Sting was a bodybuilder. Like you talk to them about like Star Wars, they're probably like just like I don't have time for that, I'm at the gym. Now you get like you get like someone like Keith Lee who is an absolute unit. But then you talk to them about like, yeah, man, I watch anime. So it's pretty awesome, and that's where I'm at. Is like I have roots heavily like intertwined with the gaming side of wrestling, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, and I'm pretty sure the longer wrestling goes on, and I hope it goes on long because I just started. But like the longer wrestling subsides, the more we're gonna see wrestlers like me who have like who take upon themselves to like be embracive of like their roots in the gaming or the animation and all that stuff. You know, I'm sorry that's like such a long-winded answer. I'm just
yeah. So I mean, but I feel you and all that and everything, and I think the thing that I can kind of compare it to for me, somebody asked about LeBron James or something for basketball. I don't even know why I'm even bringing this point up or whatever, because I haven't been really into basketball since Michael Jordan was an active player. But to compare those two, Michael Jordan and LeBron James, I would say now that this generation that LeBron James is in, they are phenomenal basketball players, of course. But I feel like they are better business people and, socially aware of things more so than the previous generation and everything. And then I feel like it's the same thing for wrestling as well. I mean, you have so much more insight, and a lot of people are more business savvy than a lot of the people were in the past generations and whatnot. So I dig the evolution. I like how the things are changing and evolving. And it's just like, I'm waiting for all this old shit to like die out. Because I mean, I'm tired of Goldberg coming back. I'm tired of Brock coming back. I want some new shit. I want Ricochet up front with the WWE title or whatever fucking higher prestigious title there is out there, whatever. I want Darius Lockhart out there. I want Fuego up there. I want all those people up front. But they got to sit there and wait till some old motherfucker decide that he want to retire, or he can go do something else to make money that doesn't tax his body and shit. And it pisses me the fuck off.
I have a very, very similar opinion. But it's also one of those things where I get why they do. They rely on that. It's a safe bet. It's always there's always attraction, but
so I mean as a consumer, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
But as a man, as a human being, I cannot fault a person for providing for themselves and their family. So if you back up a dump truck worth of money to my house and you tell me, hey man, do 3 matches, we'll pay you millions and millions of dollars. Fucking right, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. So that's the thing is, I very recently I made this post and like people are asking, do you want to go somewhere? You want to get something? I'm like, why are you doing this? I'm like, I want money. I want lots of money. I'm sorry. I like everybody would assume like, oh, Kidd Bandit's such a wholesome like social media presence. Yeah, and I am. I try to be a good person. I also like money.
I mean,
but I'm also not going to compromise myself for money. Is for obviously like I'm gonna put it out there right now. Like, hey, I like money, but I'm not going to sell my soul to the devil for it, as it were. That being said, I'm not going to turn down like money. I'm not going to shy away from profit. And it, as an entertainer, and you would know because you run a podcast, right? The very nature of what we do is clout chasing. We just have to go about it the right way. Because like when you say we're clout chasers, there's such a negative like connotation behind that. But ultimately, that's what we're all trying to do. The more clout we have, the more attention we have, the more there is a margin for profit. But and this. How apropos you're talking about business savvy, right? Because I researched this. I'm out here like trying to like make sure that I can expand my brand as in the best way possible without compromising my values. Because ultimately that's the important thing, isn't it? It's like what would be the point if I was so rich but I'm not portraying like I'm not me anymore? I change everything about myself so I could get rich quick. It's more like, how can I get as much clout in the positive light, make a profit from it, garner as much traction and attention without like without because like I'm not gonna make everyone happy.
True.
But I don't want, like, as much as possible, I don't want to step on people's toes because because why? You know, like
Yeah.
so and it's so easy. It's so easy to just be like, oh, I'm better than homeboy over there. I'm better than homegirl over there. Here, let me show you. It's so easy to just like get traction like with drama and hate and like like I can't even come up with an example because like it's gonna rub me the wrong way if I do like point out like someone who did something. But let's say wrestler 1 decides to like go off on and start shit with like wrestler 2, and people are like, oh wow, and there's a lot of traction on it. There's a lot of like eyes on it. Because people love it. Like people love seeing like it's like driving in the freeway and you see a car wreck and you're like, what's that over there? And everyone's driving slow. They want to see what's going on and stuff like that. It's
Pisses
so
me
easy
off
to
when
go.
it happens too.
It-
I was like, I'm
it's
trying to
so-
get home, goddamn it, stop rubbernecking.
Yeah, exactly. It's so easy to go that route because everyone loves car wrecks. Everyone loves to see that. But I don't want to do that because I see that all the time with YouTubers. It's pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
I know you brought up the most notorious earlier in your interview, Mr. Paul.
Yeah.
That motherfucker. I mean, everybody's like, oh, he's done so much after the fact. And blah. I was like, nah, you can still kiss my ass.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Nah, we ain't gonna sweep that shit under the rug. I'm like, fuck all that couch.
you definitely put like I if I had a little bit more gumption in me, I would probably say exactly what you have said. But so I appreciate you for expressing exactly how I feel about that entire situation in
Yeah.
words.
I see him on my TV and I'm just like, and that goes along to what I was talking about. These old motherfuckers coming back and all this other bullshit or whatever. I mean, but I digress.
Yes.
Damn. I had a question for you. It came
Okay.
from somebody in our Discord group. I think that's Mr. Jason. He was like, something. What is your character class in D&D or Dark Souls or Elden Ring or whatever you play?
Elden Ring, I'm a bandit.
I mean, was it a hard
I
choice
wonder
to pick
why.
that?
I wonder why I chose bandit though. I wouldn't know. But yes, in Elden Ring, I am a bandit. I've been playing it for I want to say like 3 hours, and I just beat the first boss, like the beginner boss, and that's all I've done so far because I've died to that boss like so many times.
Yeah.
But I was so stubborn. I'm like, no, like the first time I tried to beat this boss, I almost won. I didn't. But I'm gonna keep trying until I finally beat this fucking, and I did, and I filmed it, and I put it on Twitter, and I just captioned it as like, I'm a lunatic, and I'm probably not gonna play this game for a while because it took so much out of me, you know. But I finally did it, you know. So
I know. I think I might lose a little bit of my soul if I played Dark Souls. I got a PlayStation 5, and it came with Dark Souls, and I shit you not, I got the PlayStation like when it was originally released, so I got lucky in that aspect. Dark Souls came with it, and I shit you not, right here, up in this shelf, in this cabinet, it's still in the shrink wrap, never been opened because I'm scared to touch that game.
It's definitely like one of those games where it's like a badge of honor once you beat it. You're like, I beat Dark Souls. What's up? You know, like
I think for me it'll just be putting it in the console to play it.
Yeah, for me, one of my it's hard to go off on a tangent, but like Dishonored. Oh, it's on this side. Dishonored and Dishonored 2 is like one of my favorite games of all time. Just because I remember playing the first Dishonored, and one of the I looked up the achievements. There was an achievement. It was like you could play this game without ever being seen, without killing anybody, like you know, without upgrading your powers. And that was the very you could play the game like entirely opposite way. But I played a game where I never set off an alarm. I never got, and it took so long because I had to like reload every 5 seconds. I played it on easy just so I could get like the freaking, you know, the achievements.
Okay,
Yeah, no, that was like, and I was like 15, I think, when I did that, or like 13. So like, I was like, yeah.
So like 2 years ago.
No, I'm a lot older. I'm a lot older than like, so there is a really wild rumor going around that I'm like 40. I'm not 40. But I'm also not 19, which a lot of people assume. I was I remember I was in a show with Nick Wayne.
Oh yeah.
Friday. And I remember sitting next to Nick Wayne, just like, we're just talking about like thing. And I looked at him, and he's way taller than I am. So I'm like, he looks more of an adult than me, but I think I'm like a good like 8 to 10 years older than Nick Wayne. so it was like this is weird because Nick Wayne looks more of an adult than I do, but I'm almost a decade, if not already a decade older than Nick Wayne.
Yeah. And that's crazy because like I have not long been into indie wrestling or whatever. I mean, I grew up on WWE and everything, but like maybe let's say 10 years or a little more than that, I started getting into indie wrestling. I've been to my first indie show and everything. So it was just like seeing all these people grinding, doing their things and whatnot. I gained a little bit more respect than I already had for people who did professional wrestling. I was able to even train a little bit and take a couple bumps and run the ropes and do things like that or whatever. So I have a even more, heightened appreciation for the craft. But now, compared to when I first started, a little over a decade ago, watching independent wrestling, I'm seeing the field get younger and younger and younger and younger.
Yeah.
So you talk about Nick Wayne, Roxy just signed with WWE not too long ago, and I don't even think she's 21 yet. So
Yeah, no.
she's been wrestling for like 5-6 years already. I'm just like, what the fuck?
But it's in the same class with that one of my friends, Mimi. I say friends generously because I've barely interacted with them, but they've been nice to me when I do interact with them. Mimi's like 19 and she also got signed. I believe her name now is Amelia, but yeah, she was in the same class as Roxy. Billy Starks, who I just met like I think 3 weeks ago, is like 17. It's like there's a girl who has a My Hero Academia gimmick who I've kind of taken under my wing in DPW because like her dad's a big fan of me. And her name's Erica, and she's also a fan of me. And I'm like, you guys don't need to be fans. Like, you guys are wrestlers too. You guys can like, be my peers. You know that, right? And they're like, no, we want to be your fan. I'm like, okay, but like, I consider you guys my peers. So, but yeah, they're like, she's young. Her dad is also fairly young too. So it's like, what is going on? Like, and it's kind of hitting me too. It's like, I do like, it's kind of like a personal crisis on my end. It's like, did I start a little bit late? Yeah. Or did I start at the perfect time? Because I know who I am. And 5-6 years ago, had I been in the indies and I achieved this amount of traction, I would have been a total jerk. I grew a lot as a person and matured a lot more to the point where if I had experienced this level of like, success back then, I probably would have gone a totally different direction.
Would have corrupted you.
Yeah, it would have like one of the things that I think endears me with people is that the fact that I'm very self-aware of like what's going on with me. I'm not like, oh, look at me, I'm a big name bandit now. Yeah, I'm a rock star. It's a lot of it's like me telling people I don't know why I'm famous.
Hey, I think you should not to cut you off, but I think you should use that as like big man bandit or whatever you just said.
Yeah, big name bandit is here.
I like that.
8 months into my career, I was on AEW twice. Yeah, look at like okay, cool, like whatever. Like it also, I know a lot of my wrestling peers and indies look at me and think I skipped the line. I don't blame them because I did. I'm not gonna knock my hard work and ethic because I've been working nonstop, like 2-3 shows every week. I hit my 90th match last Friday, so I'm 91 matches in, and I'm less than 9 months in. So it's like there is a grind, there is a hustle there.
Yeah.
That being said,
cagematch.net not even tracking you yet, so
exactly. They I don't know how. I have no idea how to start with that. But hey,
let me double check. Let me double check because like because I see now because I thought it was 1D, so it's 2 Ds. Maybe if I add that extra D. Add that extra D.
You beat me to
not Kidd Bandit. Nope. Still not there yet, but you'll get there, and
I'll
I'll
get
read all your stats on the show, and it'll be fun.
I'm not even like, I'm like Lance, I'm not in a rush because, like I said, my peers, they be doing this for like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years even. And I kind of overlapped a lot of them because it could be because of the hair, could be because of Twitter, could be because of like a multitude of things that have like combined has gotten me to where I'm at. Like, it's so baffling to me to be where I'm at and not really have anyone to look to for an example as a, because like you see in WWE a lot where someone who is about like the same length of like experience as me gets thrust in to swim with the sharks, and they're gonna, and it's either sink or swim with them, right? And usually they're big men, like big men, wrestlers who, like they get thrusted in a TV position because of their physique, but they don't really know how to work yet, and it's a sink or swim. And sometimes they learn how to swim, sometimes they don't.
Rich Holland.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't know, like, because I'm not them, because I'm not into WWE. But for me, I'm in the indies. I am experienced. I want to say like 3 to 4 years of like indie vet experience crammed in like 9 months, and I have the success level of someone who's been doing it for like 7 to 8 years crammed in like 9 months, and there really isn't anyone that's done what I've done in this rate that I've done, and it's pretty scary because I can't look to anyone for guidance. The people who mentored me are Cody, who, he's probably busy doing whatever he's doing right now because I don't even know what Cody's doing. QT, who is like in charge with a lot of the backstage stuff at AEW, so I can't really like, I don't want to bother them with that. Or on the other side of that, like people who have never experienced and enjoyed this level of like notoriety. So I can't turn to them and be like, hey, what do I do? Or where do I go from here? So I'm kind of like learning this on the fly, as it were. And I'm kind of paving the way for this, because like the pace I'm going back about this is a breakneck pace. I don't, and this isn't me being arrogant. I just can't think of anybody else who's experiencing this much level of like explosion in popularity and, this early on in their career, in the indies at least. In the WWE, I could name a couple, but like in the indies, not so much. And the indies operate in such a drastically different rule set than it is in the WWE.
Oh yeah.
And the number one thing is like you're in charge of your own branding and your own business and your own profits. And this goes back to where, I was talking about, like, if I had done this when I was younger and I experienced this much amount of growth when I was younger, I would not be able to handle like the finances. I wouldn't be able to handle like the popularity, or, and I'm not saying I'm old. I'm not old. I'm not that old, but I'm also like at the prime age of like, I know I have to be careful, because if I'm not careful, I could burn out. And if I burn out now, then I might never get back to like this point. But I also can't slow down either, because I might also like,
Yeah, people will catch up and pass you up.
Well, I mean, I'm okay with people passing me up, because like at the end of the day, nobody has my hair, unless a person has a very similar hairstyle to me and a moveset that's very similar to me, and they got that like anime gimmick as well.
The only person I can think of is that's a sliver close is Oscar.
that being compared to Oscar is great, and Oscar's in the WWE, so I gotta catch up to Oscar. Like it's not the other way around where they're trying to pass me. And ultimately, there's so much food at the top of the mountain. There's lots of room in the table, so like I don't care. Like more power to everybody else to like succeed, right? Like I don't want to get to the top of the mountain. It's just me, and I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, where's my friends? Like I want everyone to make it, because this is all our dreams. This is all. Yeah. And
I think you mentioned that as well on one of your other interviews, to where like you got the opportunity to do the thing at AEW and you immediately grabbed one of your homeboys and was like, hey, put this guy on the show too, or whatever. And that's kind of like I can relate to that as far as, you know, this podcasting thing goes, is because I've been doing this for 6 years. And, you know, to go to what your point is like I started it because, you know, I wanted something, you know, that, you know, kind of, I guess, goes beyond me or whatever. Because I mean, one day I'm gonna stop, but this will still be here and it'll just keep going and going and going. And I have in the beginning, what it was supposed to be was like a diary of sorts or whatever. Because I was in the military. Then I got out of the military.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your support. I just figured out what to say when somebody said that.
No, I'm in the same way. It's like it's awkward for me to say, like, because I serve too, but like I'm like I didn't do anything. So I was in the motor pool on my phone.
Whoa, you say motor pool? Where Army or what?
Army.
Okay, all right, yeah, because not too many people say motor pool, so yeah. I was either figuring the Army or maybe Navy Marine Corps, but
yeah.
I was right on my first guess.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Fort Leonard then?
Is that the one in Missouri?
Yes.
No, but I know that's where they send people who get arrested.
Yeah, that's where they do the MP training as well.
Is it Leavenworth or Leonardwood? Like that.
Leonardwood. Leonardwood is where they do the MP training. So I guess you could go to jail there. But
okay, I know it starts with an L, and that's my friend got stationed.
Leavenworth is jail. Leonardwood is training.
So Leavenworth is the one. Okay, so Leonardwood. I have not been to Leonardwood or Leavenworth for that matter, but I am familiar that one of them is in charge of like something with the law.
Okay, yeah, but because I was gonna say, yeah, that's where I retired out of, Fort Leonard Wood, the armpit. The armpit of Missouri or whatever. And I call it that because legit, if you look on the map, it's down the road from a city or a place called Devil's Elbow. So you got the elbow, you got the armpit.
Oh, okay. So. I was stationed in one of my hometowns, which is Anchorage. So Anchorage, Alaska. It's lucky for me, but not so much lucky for my peers.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm used to this, and then everybody's like, "I'm not used to this."
I'm not used. To be fair, I wasn't actually used to it either. You know, I was like, "This sucks." Like it kind of tainted my perception of Anchorage. Now it's like, back then I used to think I used to live in Anchorage. It was cool. Now that I think about Anchorage, I used to live in Anchorage. And I was in the military in Anchorage. So I was like,
What? So do you just do 4 years?
3.
3? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
I was infantry. So my tech school was part of my basic training. So I just had a little bit longer of a basic training.
All right. Word. So like, is that kind of why you got the late start with wrestling and everything?
Yeah. It was a combination of like never being an athlete growing up, being kind of out of shape.
They kind of whipped that into you a little bit.
They did. They absolutely did in the Army, which is how I was kind of in shape in the Army, and then I got out. Had some mental health issues, some demons I had to face, so I drank a lot.
I can relate.
And I, you're a kid that, you had a purpose. You realize that you're not really a good fit for the Army because you're really fucking weird.
That would make you a perfect fit, really. Because there's some weird motherfuckers in the military.
You're absolutely right there. But I was not a good fit for the Army personally. So as soon as when they asked me if I wanted to re-up, I said I don't for me. But that's all I've known. My first taste of independence. And it's funny because I say independence, but in the Army you're actually kind of babysat. Like you had a sergeant making sure you're sleeping and waking up on your information. Yeah. Your hand is held. Yeah. For the most part, you're independent when you're not on the clock, but you're on the clock 20 hours a day if we're being honest about it, because
pretty much
you're always on call. Some motherfucker decides to go drink and drive in the weekend and you're fucked.
Yep.
And you have nothing. You had nothing to do with that. You're on the other side of town hanging out with your friends who aren't in the Army, and you get text messages like "formation now," and it's 2 a.m. and you're like, "Why the fuck?"
Why?
And it turns out like your fucking squad mate got drunk and drove, and now nobody's allowed to leave base, and it's like you're basically in like you're policed,
Yeah.
you're babysat. And when I got out, I didn't really have a direction. I was drinking all the time. I moved back in with my parents, and I just all the unhealthy habits that was offset by the physical fitness of the army that I didn't have to do anymore. I didn't have to go work out at 5 a.m. anymore. So I gained a lot of weight, lots of weight. And I was depressed. I was eating a lot. I had, and you being a veteran, you could probably relate. You lose some friends.
Yeah.
Not to the war, but to themselves. And seeing that hit me hard because I was kind of walking that path too, and it was terrifying. And when I finally found the opportunity, I got in trouble with the law, because
that'll sober you up real quick.
yeah, I was just like I didn't know how to be an adult. I was just like I was so used to having a sergeant or a captain tell me like how to live. And like yes sir or yes sir, and I'm like so without that guidance I was kind of fucked. And wrestling turned my life around because like during that whole period of depression I had that. It was something I like nostalgically associated with a good part of my life growing up, and I figured I know how to get in shape. I was in the army. Yeah. So I enrolled for wrestling school, and it's not an exaggeration when I say wrestling turned my life around. It did. I lost like 150 pounds. My hair grew, and it's nice and fluffy and beautiful. I was able to, one of my trainers was Jake Atlas, who is very openly gay, and it helped me embrace parts of my sexuality, which I never, seeing someone like Max the Impaler, who is unabashedly non-binary and open about it, like it helps me be open about being non-binary. Seeing the support from Twitter about like me being open about that. I like to this day when I said, hey, I'm gonna start HRT, I debated about making that a public announcement because like I'm like these people won't care. To this day, like people care more about that than me doing a Phoenix Splash, and I'm like, really? Like the Phoenix Splash is a cool freaking move. 500 like not even like 20 likes on Twitter. Me going at HRT, thousands of likes, and I'm like, okay, so I get it. Like yeah, like okay, like people support me, but like yeah, so wrestling has been good to me. And it definitely has its flaws. It definitely has it like you said, like like WWE could use to I want to see Ricochet in the main event scene, like Nob Goldberg. It definitely has its flaws. It definitely has its share of toxic people. There's definitely lots of things about wrestling that makes me kind of be upset that like why yeah man this shit's a work. Come on, like what? Like this shit's a work. It's well, why are we treating it like like why is it so like why are people so shitty? But at the grand scheme of things, it did save my life, and I and if I could help, I guess like leave it a better place than when I found it, then that's the goal, And it's such a profound way of saying like, yeah, I just want to make money and do good, but yeah, like I want to make money and because like it and I guess let me turn it around real quick. I want to make money because I want to buy my parents like a nice house. There you go. Let's go.
Yeah, that's always a goal too, but like going back to what you were saying, and even to kind of go off of what you were saying, when I spent 16 years of my life in the military. And that was like right out of high school. And then like even before I joined the military, I got somebody pregnant. So it was just like, I'm not a kid anymore, but I'm still a kid with a kid on the way, and now I need a job. So military was like top option for me because back home where I'm from, all you can do is either work at a freaking chemical plant, a casino, or be like a nurse aide or something. And
Yeah,
like I was not feeling any of those three.
Into that.
So my family, big military presence, my father, brothers, all those people, a lot of people in my family. So that was the path I chose. And it did suck, you know, especially that first 4 years or whatever, because you're the
Yeah.
lowest guy on the totem pole, and then you got everybody up here like shitting on you, be like, here, go clean the toilet or whatever. You know how that shit can.
Yeah, go mop the motor pool in the rain.
Yeah. Yes, go get the blinker fluid. You know, fill out this ID 10T form or whatever, you know.
Yep. It's funny because like I can only relate like to these things as a veteran to another veteran. Like only you would understand, you know.
Yeah. So it was like I was fortunate in the aspect in that first 4 years to have some good leadership or some people that actually looked out for me, which kind of led to me sticking around, you know, the rest of the time and everything. And whenever I was able to get into the position to where I had people in my charge or whatever, I tried to do whatever I could to make it better for them, because I know at a time I didn't have that part as far as leadership goes. So it was all about giving back. And to when I was talking about Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri being a shitty place, but out of all the places I've been, I believe it was probably the best duty station that I ever been to in hindsight, because there I got over fear of public speaking. Because like, I mean, because you know how it is. I mean, you can be around anybody and just have conversation, chill, and just do whatever. But when you are handed a curriculum and a PowerPoint and all this stuff, and you got to get up there and you got to know what the fuck you're talking about,
or
and
when
it's
you
just
have to do a board. Yeah.
Oh yeah, promotion boards and shit. It's just like my brain just fizzled the fuck out of me or whatever. And the kind of one of the advantages, and depending on how it goes about the disadvantages of the military, is they'll whip shit into you or whatever. I learned how to swim because of the military. I was definitely afraid of water, but they was like, bitch, swim. I was like, okay. And I started swimming.
I learned real quick that my body is tough, because we out here hiking, like we're rucking 12 miles in under 3 hours. I'm like, well, I didn't know I could do that, yeah. My feet
when
hurt,
you're made to do things, you'll figure it out quick, and it just, I appreciate all 16 years of that stuff, and it just like throughout the good and the bad of it or whatever. If I had the choice to where like to go back in time and start it over and do it the same way, I would have to, because that led me here.
Yeah.
And it's us having this conversation right now. If I hadn't done that, we probably wouldn't be talking right now. Who knows where you would be right now?
Yeah.
So it's a process.
Like I'm in a very similar boat in that, like, yeah, it wasn't a good fit for me, but there's a lot of things I took out from it that helped me become a better person. There's definitely some bad things I took out from it too, that I wish you would, motherfucker. That kind of mentality. I'm still like that, but I mellowed out, but.
Yeah, the ability to fall asleep anywhere.
Anywhere. Oh my! So like, this is one of the fun indie story 101, real quick. Indie wrestling story 101. I get hotels now when I get flown in. But when I tell promoters, hey, you can just drop me off at the airport, I'll just stay there. They're like, really? You don't want to sleep in a hotel room? I'm like, believe me, I have slept in places you would not believe a human being could sleep for 4 hours. Function for 2 days in a row, and then I'll be okay. And the fact is, like, I had to do those things without energy drinks.
Yeah.
I'll be fine. And but to echo your statement, if I had to go back in time and see if I want to redo it, and even though it wasn't a good fit for me, I probably would, but I'd choose the Air Force. So
that's why I was trying to push on to my son or whatever. I was like, man, you did Air Force ROTC, man. It's a slam dunk. Why don't you just go that way?
Or Space Force, even. I forget that's a real thing now.
Know how I figured that was real? Because I know it was, on TV and shit, but I didn't realize it was real until I pulled up my Navy Federal Bank app and it has a list of all the branches on there on the splash screen, and it said Space Force. I was like, oh, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. I mean, the way they presented it initially is that it's gonna be like fucking Halo, like just Star
Yeah.
Wars shit. But in reality, it's more like fucking like a militarized NASA. Like that's all it
Yeah,
really.
it's like Air Force with space.
Yeah, Air Force with that's it. And but everybody assumes it's gonna be like, yeah, we're gonna fight aliens. Like shit. Like, you know, I wish. If the Space Force, I'm not ashamed of like being infantry in the army. There is a certain badge of honor of like being in the front lines, fucking doing like hoo-wah shit. Like, you know, granted, we hate saying hoo-wah, but fuck. If Space Force was on the table when I was like, you know, 18, that's a hard fucking sell, man.
Yeah, man, they bring this draft back around. I'm like, hey, draft me to the Space Force, baby.
Yeah, bro. I want laser guns and shit. What the fuck?
Yeah. As long as we ain't doing no Starship Trooper shit or whatever. I ain't trying to fight no bugs. Yep. Fuck that.
As long as you don't send my ass to the Clendathu, I'm good.
Yeah, fuck all that couch.
No, but I did have a discussion with my friend who's still in the service about why Starship Troopers was such a good movie for people in service. And it's because it's one of the few movies that start off with you in high school, going into the service. And I think a lot of like military movies, when they get presented to you, they cast people who aren't like kids. But I mean, I was in the service, like my entire platoon, like my sergeant was like 21, you know, my platoon was filled with like 18 and 17-year-olds. I was like 18. So
yeah, man, I don't know. Those were some wild times. I loved every minute of it. I miss it sometimes, but it's just I did too. Yeah.
I mean, I never thought I'd miss formation. Like that was like the weirdest thing. I'd wake up at like fucking 5:30 a.m. and I'm like, why am I awake? Why am I getting dressed? Why am I sleeping in like workout clothes? You know, like I do miss some things, yes.
Word. So usually when I have professional wrestlers on the show, I have a list of 5 professional wrestlers that I would bring up. And, you know, I'll say their names, and I would just like your honest opinions and thoughts upon their names and whatnot. So I got 5 of them here for you. And since Noah is into like anime and comics and all those other things, he had 5 things that he wanted to ask you as well in that realm. But he's not here, so he texted me his list.
Okay.
So we'll start with Noah's first. We'll just kind of, you know, volley back and forth between my 5 and his 5. So number 1 for him, and you know, don't slander me if I say it wrong, but Naruto.
My number 1 opinion about Naruto. Okay.
Naruto. All right. So that's how I said it in my mind, but I said it because I thought I was saying it right when I said it out loud.
You're fine. What do I feel about Naruto? It's such a long-winded anime with a lot of filler. He was probably the one character that stayed pretty consistent. I mean, a lot of them did because the show itself has such a wide, diverse cast of characters that there wasn't a lot of room for character development because every archetype is filled. Naruto himself ended up with a lot of. Are we talking about the show or just the individual?
The show or the individual, however you want to attack it.
So the individual himself didn't really grow. You know, there wasn't a lot of character development. He grew up, but his personality pretty much stayed the same. Because the nature of the show is because like it's in a grand ensemble filled with a lot of colorful cast of characters that didn't really that filled all the roles. So like you can't there wasn't really a need for like someone to like change their personality. And I personally prefer watching people develop in medium. You know, I really like how, like, for example, like Luke Skywalker in Star Wars went from like very optimistically naive in episode 4. In episode 6, he's like this wise like person who's very cool and collected and composed. Naruto didn't enjoy that character development, and now he's an adult with kids. And you know, I do like him still, just because one of the plot points of like the show is that he had one conviction, and he wanted to be he wanted to be the Hokage, which was like in-universe president of like the village, I guess. And he worked his ass off to get to that point. Did he have a lot going for him? Absolutely. But he also had a lot of things going against him that, you know, made it kind of a challenge for him to get to that position. So that's my long-winded opinion about him. Now, the short answer is, yeah, fuck with him.
All right, so my first professional wrestler off of my 5, Heather Monroe.
Oh, really? She did. Is it like, okay? You probably heard it from like the Fightful interview, but Heather's my coach, one of my original trainers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I gave her a ride here at a New Texas Pro Show, so I had to pick her up from.
I'm curious, but did I ever come up in like conversation at all with Heather or no?
Well, I'm an awkward person when it comes to people, so it was just like the Booker called me up. He's like, "Hey man, where you live at?" I was like, "I live on the north side." He's like, "Could you do me a favor?" I was like, "Of course. What you need? Could you pick some talent up for me?" I was like, "All right, send me the address," and it was her.
Okay. Well, Heather was one of my original trainers when I first started wrestling. She was there every Monday. And she would actually come in before class to work out on her own. She was very dedicated to the craft. Mm-hmm. I think one of the things about Heather that a lot of people see is that she's pretty. Obviously, she's very pretty, but she also has this mindset that she didn't want to just get by as just another pretty face. She actually wants to like showcase, like, look at me, I can wrestle. Like, you know, I'm not here because of my looks. I'm here because of my looks and because I can fucking wrestle. So I respect that, because I'm actually surprisingly, in my wildest dreams, never thought I'd have that problem where people like I have to like prove that I'm not getting by just with my looks, or I guess like with the hair, you know, like, or I'm not getting by with just my gimmick. I can wrestle if I have to rely on just my technical abilities alone. I could put on a good match, and she has that drive. So that's my opinion about Heather. Also because like she trained me. I wouldn't be here without Heather's help. Like, you know, so it's a very biased opinion.
Yeah, I got to call commentary for a match she had with Will Allday, and it was a hoot.
Yeah,
so
Will Allday's also really cool.
Yeah, he is. I think that was one of my questions that I asked one of the commentators. I was like, "But can he go all day?" Number 2 on Noah's anime list, My Hero Academia.
Oh, okay, so we're talking about the shows. Okay. Sick. My Hero Academia was one of my inspirations for getting into shape, because much like the main character in My Hero Academia, and I'm gonna try to give you as much. I know how familiar you are with the show. Are you pretty familiar?
I know of it. I mean, I have a child that's all into that stuff or whatever, so I get bits and pieces of it, but I'm not fully into the scope of it. But I'm aware.
Okay. So I'm gonna try to keep it short because we've been talking for like an hour and 20.
Hey, man, take your time. Do what you want.
Oh, you don't want to give me that answer when we're talking about anime, because you. All right, here we go. My Hero Academia's main character has he doesn't have any superpowers in a society where 80% of the population does have superpowers.
Almost like Batman.
Yeah, except Batman had his brain going for him, and he had money, which like I think we've established a lot
yes,
of times.
We need some.
we like some. We need some. We were not, but he didn't have anything going for him. He was actually being bullied by like his childhood friend, who was a genius. You know, who was very smart and very powerful. And he, you know, through a lot of circumstance, he ended up inheriting the power of his childhood hero. And it's a lot of parallels with my story, as it were, because I didn't have a lot going for me coming into wrestling. I was in the army, sure, but like all the physical like shape that the army whipped me to was gone. I was fat and eating Olive Garden and Burger King every day. I was.
That's a weird combination there. That's Olive Garden and Burger King.
because my apartment was next to both of them. So yeah, and then even in high school, I was kind of a chubster. So it's like I did not like really have a lot of, you know, physical attributes going for me in wrestling. I was never like the most charismatic person. The only thing I really had going for me was I read a lot of books, and so like my vernacular and my verbiage is pretty good. But like I'm not there. I'm not 6'5" like my best friend Itch. I'm not freak flipper gymnast. I don't have that gymnastics background. Everything I learned off like hours of studying it on YouTube and working on it in my front lawn, like we're learning how to do these like spin kicks and stuff. I just worked on it. So moving forward in wrestling, I basically paralleled my story off the main character of My Hero Academia. And I think the coolest bit about that is that he ended up inheriting his power from his childhood hero, very much like how I ended up like inheriting a lot of Cody and his ideals because I trained under him in the Nightmare Factory. So is Kidd Bandit living an anime life? Fuck yeah, they are. Like fuck yeah, they really are living like the ultimate anime life, as it were.
Mm-hmm. So number 2 on my list of professional wrestlers, Cody Rhodes. Oh shit, he left the screen.
I don't even. Do I need to say anything else? Like I was gonna wear this shirt right away. I grew up like into SmackDown vs. 09. I'm pretty sure he was my season mode character. He was one of my favorites growing up, if not the favorite at one point. Yeah, I really enjoyed Stardust. And as funny as that sounds to like some people, because like everybody looks down at Stardust, but I'm like, no, Stardust was awesome. I don't know what you're talking about.
I enjoyed it because we as fans, we all get this thing in our head sometimes, and that we can book better than the company, and sometimes we can. So I got it in my head that the Stardust thing was going to lead to a match between Stardust and Goldust at WrestleMania, and it was going to snap him out of it. He was going to go back to what he was doing. I mean, I had the whole story arc played out in my mind, and they just did not do that.
Yeah, don't you hate that when they seemed like they teased it, like the whole like yeah, like I feel you exactly. But I thoroughly enjoyed Stardust, with my character being such a flamboyant like departure from like the traditional like prototypical wrestler, because I'm an anime character. Like having Cody, who was at one point Stardust, give me insight on how to improve my character was immensely valuable, because like people forget that like they were Stardust at one point. Like he is so good at being Cody Rhodes that people forget he was also very good at being Stardust. And he's so talented when it comes to like character portrayals and connecting with fans a certain way that I still think I will die on the hill that the undesirable to goddamn deniable promo is the best promo ever. Like I don't care, like and even if Cody wasn't my favorite wrestler of all time, like I don't care. Like that's still the best promo, like. So what do I think about Cody Rhodes? Like
two thumbs up.
It will never. I will never be able to explain how much I love Cody Rhodes in like less than an hours worth of like content. So I'm gonna stop myself now before we go off in a tangent.
All right, number 3 on Noah's list of anime is something that I can't fucking pronounce because I'm terrible with names. Hayaku.
Yeah. Okay. So that anime, it's a sports anime. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
HAIKYU. All right. Exclamation point.
I have never seen this anime while I'm not high. So, and that's as bad as that sounds. Like I do watch a lot of anime on my downtime. And on my downtime, because I live in California, it's legal for me to partake. Because
I would do it if I could.
You have the luxury of being like I have the luxury of you being a veteran that you can understand like how marijuana and like
Oh
weed
yeah.
helps a lot of our stresses.
Even if I
So
wasn't a veteran, I would highly endorse it.
yeah, exactly. So, but because you've had experiences where I don't need to elaborate.
I
Right?
got you. I got you.
So yeah, no, I partake a lot, and when I partake, that's when I'm like, I want to see some colors. So that's when I watch anime. So I know what the anime is, but because I'm always inebriated and I have it on background while I'm like, doing
Doing
work,
other things. Yeah.
other things, like it's a background noise anime for me. And that sounds so poor in taste, but like, so what can I say about the anime? Whenever I do pay attention, it's funny as hell. And it's actually very inspirational as hell too. So like,
Mhm.
yeah.
Fuego del Sol.
Oh, I love Fuego. There was a time where I met Fuego in the Nightmare Factory. I didn't know he was Fuego at the time, but he was really cool. And then he introduced himself. Oh, what's up, I'm Fuego del Sol. I'm like, oh, you're Fuego. I wouldn't have been able to tell. Cool. And but yeah, like the fact that they were really nice to me before I even knew he was Fuego. And it's fun fact, like his cousin AK was also in the same camp as me. And I did like my AEW like dark match. I wrestled Fuego. And Fuego is so nice. He's always giving me pointers. He's every time I run into them, they're very, very sweet. I want nothing but the best for Fuego because Fuego works so hard for it. And a lot of the times like that goes over people's heads that they like they're so good because of like the way they're being utilized in AEW right now. I don't think like it does him justice with how good he really is. So
Mhm.
and I relate to him a lot because he had a lot of people didn't believe in him at one point. He had roots coming in from backyard wrestling, and like a lot of wrestlers who are
Boy,
trained,
that old mask was rough too.
like people would look down on people who come from the backyard like wrestling side of things because they think, oh, you're not trained. But like backyard wrestling is valid because
Yeah.
some motherfuckers in backyard wrestling come up with like really cool stuff that and it sets them apart. I mean, don't get me wrong. I highly encourage people to get trained, but
Yeah.
don't look down. Like ultimately, it's a different genre. It's a different form of art, and it's subjective.
Mhm.
Like I know, like for example, like people enjoy the Ring of Honor's like pre-roll style wrestling,
Yeah.
and then sometimes they enjoy deathmatch wrestling. Very distinctly different from like what Ring of Honor does. But the one thing doesn't make the other thing like better or worse. It's just like it's more flavors of cake. Why are you complaining? There's more flavors of cake. Like that's how I see it. So
I love cake.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, me too. Yeah. So to go back to Fuego, yeah, I love them. I wish nothing but the best for them, and I really hope that like the world gets to see a lot more of what, because like he does the indies, and out in the indies he's doing some crazy cool shit. And I'm
Oh,
like,
yes.
I'm hoping for the day that like AEW decides to pull the trigger and be like, hey Fuego, you want to like show us what you really can do? And Fuego's like, oh, bet.
Once again, he was here at New Texas Pro, and I seen this man do I don't know how the fuck he did it. He did some kind of like a head scissor thing and turned it into a freaking destroyer. And I was like, how?
Yep. Yeah, was it when he wrestled Ninja Mac?
No, that was before I seen him wrestle Mysterious Q.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I think I know what it's talking about. Yeah, no, Fuego is, and that stems from like the creativity of like their background being a backyard wrestler. They're out there trying the coolest shit that no one's ever done because that's their background, and like people need to respect that. So that's why I see it.
Yeah, speaking of Ninja Mac, shout out to Ninja Mac, former guest of this show or whatever. I got to talk to him, and that dude just like actually ran away as a child and went to the circus.
Did he really?
Yeah,
that's pretty fucking cool.
He legit was a circus performer, and then he got into professional wrestling. So, which explains all his shenanigans.
It explains a lot, yes.
Number 4 on Noah's list, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Fun fact: my shoot name is JoJo.
What?
and like, I'm not. And there, I mean,
And you've had many bizarre adventures.
I have had very, very many bizarre adventures, and for those uninitiated with JoJo's characters are very flamboyant, not unlike me. And when I do my entrance, I do a JoJo pose. So, do I need to say more about how I feel about JoJo's bizarre adventure, or should we leave it as that? Because like I don't want to go off and like talk about it for like 15 minutes.
Hey, you do what you feel.
All right.
But number 4 on my list of professional wrestlers, Sonny Kiss.
I covered it on the Fightful interview. I did have a hard time approaching Sonny because like I look up to them so much. The fact that when I was watching Lucha Underground on YouTube, when it's like all illegally uploaded there, and the comments were just yeah, I was one of those. I was a pirate. But they would
see my hook, see my flag up there. I'm a pirate too.
Hell yeah. Exolicious, I believe was their ring name in Lucha.
Yeah.
I was just
which I didn't understand, but I was just like, I don't care. Does all the great in-ring work.
Yep. The fans would be ruthless. But all I saw was someone being themselves, unabashedly proud of who they were. And dealing with all that hate. That I'm dealing with a lot of that now. But they went through it, and they paved the way for people like me in the business to be proud of who we are. And that's the shit that goes beyond wrestling. You know, like that's some real life shit. That's some like stuff that you could apply that to like other aspects of like, it doesn't have to be a wrestling thing. It could be like a life thing, you know? And so I'm scared to talk to them because I venerate them so much. You know how you say you never want to meet your heroes because your heroes might not be like who you think they are. I've been lucky that meeting Sonny and Cody, and they're exactly everything I imagined them to be, but better. Like, you know. So yeah, I talked to the Sonny. No, don't get me wrong. I talked to Sonny now, but back when I first ran into them, it was like, oh my god, like holy crap, like how am I gonna approach them? Like Jesus. So yeah, I love them. Yeah, I love them. I love Cody. But I'm also full of love, so it's not even fair for me to like. Like, I'm sorry if like people came into this interview hoping for me to like just I hate that person. There's a very select few of them in the industry where I could actually say that without like stuttering. And so far, none of the wrestlers that you've mentioned are those. So I don't think you're gonna get any of that from this podcast, brother.
Number 5 on Noah's anime list is what the fuck is that? FLCL Fooly.
Oh, Fooly Cooly.
Yeah.
God, it's been so long since I've seen that one. I enjoyed it, but Rick. Like the fact that I can barely remember details from it is pretty. It's not because I'm concussed. It's just because it's been a while. God, I feel so bad now. I'm the anime protagonist. I don't have like expertise on this one, but I enjoyed it when I saw it. So there's that.
So Noah also has a bonus 6th one.
Okay.
He said it's only a manga right now, but it's going to be an anime coming up this year. Chainsaw Man, if you're familiar with that.
Chainsaw Man, yeah. It's like kind of like pseudo horror. It reminds me a lot of I don't even want to say Tokyo Ghoul, but like it does kind of remind me of Tokyo Ghoul. No, there's a different.
So that's kind of interesting to me because like I don't like to read so much, but most recently I've been getting back into it or whatever to where like I'm going back and read books that inspired movies. So like I'm reading I Am Legend and Fight Club and things like that. And my kid likes anime and stuff. So we both started reading the Death Note series. So I'm wrapping up. I'm on the last book of Death Note, so I'm about to see the conclusion. So don't spoil it for me. And then she's doing art for me right now in the kitchen as we speak. She's drawing light with the Death Note, and she just drew Reiku with the apples and stuff. So
Light Yagami. All right, yeah. So,
but Chainsaw Man was something because I got the Shonen Jump app, so I can read all the anime and everything. So Chainsaw Man is on my list. I don't know why. I just seen a dude with a chainsaw hand, and I was just like, "This is like Ash versus Evil Dead or something like that." So I was like, "Yeah."
So I think it's kind of weird because like everybody expects me to be like this super ultra weeb, but I'm also like very well versed in like the Western geek stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It actually comes to the point where I'm kind of a little bit more well versed on the Western side than I am on the Eastern side. But you know,
Western, so like Billy the Kid and everything. And
no.
No, I'm messing up.
No, but hey, you want me to like talk to you about cowboy stuff, cowboy shit? I got you. So anyway, yeah. Chainsaw, frick. I think it gives me Black Butler vibes almost, but not really. Like, I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like I've read a couple. Not enough for me to form a freaking great opinion, but yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
It's okay. And number 5 on my list, and my last one for professional wrestlers, Warhorse.
Oh yeah. Warhorse, my big brother. Warhorse is fun. Very fun. I learned so much from them. Because I literally like, is it Sunday? Oh, it's Monday. So 3 days ago. Yeah, no, just there's a lot of stuff I'm kind of like I talked earlier about how there's not a lot of wrestlers who walk the path that I have as far as like exploding in this, getting this much notoriety this early in their career. But someone like Warhorse has experienced this amount of notoriety that I'm experiencing now. Like the whole like blowing up overnight. Wrestling Cody, like literally we have that in common. Yeah, so they have, if there were people that I could name in the indies right now that I want to pattern my road to, you know, to success, it's Warhorse, Effie, Max the Impaler, and to an extent Danhausen, but Danhausen's not in the indies anymore because they made it to Slam, you know. So, but you know what I'm saying? Like there's certain select indie wrestlers that Kidd Bandit will like follow. And Warhorse is like at the top of that because like the way that they navigate like their stardom, their popularity is very social media based. It's very character based. And there's a lot of parallels that I saw, and they even pointed it out, about how there's a crossover appeal to their character with metal, and like, you know, your character hanging out with the person behind Warhorse was also very enlightening because it turns out we shared a lot in common. So Warhorse is, it's really cool that they're even giving me the time of day to use their much larger fan base, their bigger platform, to elevate me. And they made it seem like, oh yeah, well, no, don't think of it like that. We're helping each other. I'm like, yeah, but like you're freaking Warhorse. I'm nobody compared to you. You know, like, you know. So so I do appreciate them, and the fact is like they're good. Like, you know, they unfortunately suffer a lot of the problems that I had, so they were able to enlighten me in that, like, people think that Warhorse is just a comedy character wrestler, but they're not. They actually can go in the ring, and a lot of like the Kidd Bandit stuff, that the issues that I deal with as Kidd Bandit is like, oh, Kidd Bandit's only getting over because of their popularity and social media, and like, you know, like they're all hype, they can't wrestle, but it's like, you should watch one of my matches and you'll you know. You know, so Warhorse definitely helped me grow. And this is just from like 2 days of hanging out with them. So I can only imagine like the longer I stay in the indies and like keep encountering Warhorse, the better I'm gonna be, you know. So thanks to them. So Warhorse gets a lot of thumbs ups, from me,
Yeah,
And
you only got so many thumbs.
I'm also teaching them how to be kawaii, so we're working on it.
Word. So Noah had a bonus 6th one or whatever. So I want an extra one too. You brought it up in your list of professional wrestlers that you brought up, Effie. So I would like to hear your thoughts and opinions on that person, because like I got to see him live and I didn't get it, and then I continued to watch, because you're supposed to give things a chance. You just don't shit on it immediately. So I gave it a chance and I kept watching, and I check his stuff on social media. I look at his Twitch from here and there and everything, and I'm just like, this motherfucker get it. you know, I enjoy everything about him. And it was just like, there was this, the first time I ever seen him was here, New Texas Pro once again. And I forgot who he wrestled. I think he wrestled JJ Blake here. And it was awkward as fuck, because I go there and I help out with the shows. So, just as you were saying earlier on in the interview, when you show up, you be cordial, you be nice, you speak to everybody, you say, yes, sir, no, sir, you shake hands and do things like that. But I'm there and I'm the help. So wrestlers would randomly come up to me because they don't know who I am, because, you speak to everybody. So I'm just like shaking people's hands and shit. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? Why is, and it was awkward as fuck, because they had a brief intermission. Everybody go outside to smoke cigarettes and do whatever it is. They talk with the fans and everything. And I'm standing out there. I'm 6 feet tall. Effie's pretty tall too. And it's just like this grown ass man with blonde hair, these small ass trunks and fishnets. And I'm just standing here in, just regular street clothes. Like, what the fuck kind of life am I living right now? This is just crazy.
Yeah. I've never met Effie as Kidd Bandit. I've met Effie as me before. They paved the way a lot for a lot of us queer talent, LGBT talent. And I have nothing but respect for Effie, but it's also one of those things where I venerate them so much that I'm going to be extremely biased about describing them. So nothing but good words from Kidd Bandit to Effie. But yeah. I just realized what time it is too, and I forgot I had that Booker T seminar coming up.
Oh shit! Yeah,
I know. Like,
Good.
Super short-winded answer for that.
Yeah, Effie gets the thumbs up too.
Yes.
So speaking of that, I know you got things to do. You got to get prepped and all that other stuff. But
I'm ready. I'm wrestling in this.
Yeah. So this is where we put a pin in it. So before you go, let everybody know where they can find you on social media and everything that you got coming up besides this seminar.
Kidd Bandit Pro on everything. I'm about to start streaming on Twitch and a YouTube show as well. So also Kidd Bandit on that one. That's KIDD with 2 D's, because I have double D's sometimes.
I fucked that up. Yeah, we didn't even talk about that stuff, but I mean, I know you got to go. We'll get to that another time, maybe.
Well, hopefully that means you'll bring me back, So yeah, so we'll Kidd Bandit Pro on everything. I have a match coming up with Yuya over on the 27th. That will be my 9th month anniversary. So, it's going to be fun. Over Pandemonium, that's going to be up on YouTube. I will be wrestling in Grap House this weekend. Also, Effie's going to be in that card. That's going to be up on IWTV. And I have East Los Lucha on Saturday, LA. It's a local show. Very, very fun. After that, Big Gay Brunch coming up. It's going to be on GCW's Big Gay Brunch presented by Effie, I think. Oh, other way around. Effie's Big Gay Brunch presented by GCW. Going to be up at Fight TV. Lots of big stuff coming up for me. And hope I, survive. So, yeah.
So, as is always, you've been a guest of the Random Ramblers with Rob, and the door is always open for you to come back to promote your next big thing or just to shoot the shit.
Awesome. Thank you so much.